From the land of frozen lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, it's another episode of 10K Takes Television, and it's also Super Bowl week.
It is.
And let's see, the last time the Minnesota Vikings actually played in a Super Bowl was January of 1977, so it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. It's been too long. If you're a Vikings fan, it's like forever now.
Forever and a day.
Forever and a day, yeah. I don't know. And as you look at the Minnesota Vikings right now, do you really think that they're even close? I mean, they're closer than they were a year ago, maybe. But now with all the changes that are going to happen, we have a new defensive coordinator. We've got at least a half dozen guys that were key parts of the success that they've had, not only this year, but this past several years, probably going to be gone. So a lot of changes coming. But one thing we do know, as you said, the purple will not be in the Phoenix area for Super Bowl 56.
Yeah, and my hunch is they won't be in Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
Oh, 57 was
yeah.
Okay,
but,
right.
Who knows? It's the NFL, and crazy, quirky, odd things can happen. But I think with the Vikings, maybe the saving grace is they are in the NFC North, and that division should be up for grabs next season. I don't know what's going to happen with Green Bay. We don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. Is he going to be a New York Jet? Is he going to be a diva all off season? Who knows?
Oakland,
right?
or
Las Vegas. Las Vegas, yeah.
See?
Or Detroit appears to be trending up, but I need to see more out of the Lions to actually drink their Kool-Aid. They're a lot like the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Beware.
Well, and the Eagles showed you when they played the Vikings how good they are. And, they've been that good all season long. So not surprised that it's the Eagles, and certainly not surprised it's the Chiefs, although I still think it could have been any one of three teams in the AFC. It could have been Cincinnati, it could have been Buffalo, it could have been Kansas City. And Patrick Mahomes was the magic man once again.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, what he did in that AFC title game against Cincinnati, basically hobbling around on one good leg and willing his team, the Chiefs, into the Super Bowl. It was a throwback performance, and I really liked seeing that, especially in this era where, guys are all about protecting their brand and load management, and I need days off. It would have been easy for Patrick Mahomes to say, you know what, I don't want to put myself at risk. But he didn't say that. He said, I'm going to go out there and get it done, and he did. Can he do it again against Philly? I hope so. I'm pulling for the Chiefs. But you're right, the Eagles are dominant. And it's Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, first time two African-American quarterbacks have met in a Super Bowl. That's historic. You go back to Doug Williams when he had that monumental game for Washington against Denver, Super Bowl 22. A Super Bowl the Vikings very well could have been in. Remember, they lost to Washington in that NFC Championship game.
Darren Nelson, dropping that football.
The old RFK.
Well, there were a few Vikings that were involved this past weekend at the Pro Bowl games. Did you watch any of that?
No.
You don't like watching touch football on television and tug of war or whatever else they were doing?
Things going on. I did not sample the NHL All-Star Game and their round-robin format, and I didn't check out the Pro Bowl. But I'm sure the Pro Bowl got good numbers.
They always get good numbers. They'll get better numbers than the National Hockey League or the NBA or Major League Baseball just about any day of the week. They can throw a touch football game out there like they did. Kirk Cousins, by the way, had 3 TD passes in that big touch game.
Well, his trading value is going up.
Yes,
if you believe,
exactly.
All the rumblings about what might happen with Kirk Cousins, and somebody might want to take him off the Vikings' hands. Who knows? He had a good season this past year. Did he peak? Was that the pinnacle in purple? I tend to believe it was. I think Kirk Cousins could excel if he was on a better team. I think he needs a better supporting cast, not necessarily offensively, but defensively.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of the Vikings defense, they've got a new defensive coordinator with Brian Flores. The news finally breaking on Monday, and I think that the Vikings had went through several candidates and hoped and prayed that they would get one and then another, and the list kept shortening, but they do end up with Brian Flores. Now, he had a 3-4 defense just like the Vikings ran this past season. Is that going to be an issue? Because they really didn't have the personnel for
Right.
that, did they?
They need more space eaters down low, and they may lose key guys, as you pointed out. Yeah, he's going to have to be a miracle man. The one thing about Brian Flores, he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion as an assistant coach in New England. So he's been under the greatness of Bill Belichick, who certainly knows defense. As a head coach in Miami, he had 2 winning seasons out of his 3 years there. He was 10-6. His second season, 9-8. Last year, 2021, and then he got gassed. I was shocked when Miami let him go. So he's had some success as a head coach. We'll see. It's still about your personnel and your players.
Of course.
And the Vikings are going to have to upgrade that defense significantly.
And let's not forget, he's got a lawsuit against the National Football League that goes back to him when he was with the Dolphins. And the fact that he said that Dolphin ownership told him that he should be throwing football games, and they deny it, and it goes on and on.
Yeah, it was very acrimonious, he and the owner, Stephen Ross, down there in Miami. And then there was a text he got last season. He was up for the New York Giants job, a team that he rooted for as a kid. He's from Brooklyn. And the text was from Bill Belichick. It said, "Congrats, Brian. You'll do well in New York." And he says, "Well, Coach, do you know something I don't know? Am I the Giants coach?" And then Belichick had to backpedal, and he said, "No, well, that was for Brian Dable."
Oh, boy.
And that's where I think Brian Flores got very skeptical about the whole process.
Yeah. No. Can you blame him?
No, I can't.
Not
the NFL
really.
Hiring and all that stuff is not their shining part of their business.
It is not.
All right, well, hey, we're going to throw some punches. How about some haymakers and some jabs? We'll talk with Jamal James, boxing legend from the Twin Cities, and a whole lot more. This is 10K Takes, your Super Bowl ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
And 10,000 Takes rolls along. We're going to talk a little boxing now, the sweet science. And one of Minneapolis' own has been in the headlines for the last several years, and he climbs back into the ring late February. And we are joined now by Jamal James, the former world welterweight champion of the WBA. Jamal, it has been a long layoff for you, 1.5 years since you've actually fought for real. Obviously, you've been training and so on, but what has the layoff meant? I mean, how have you had to change your training? What types of things you're going through having had such a long layoff?
Well, I got to rest for a little bit and we got back to it. But I would have been in the ring a lot sooner. I unfortunately caught COVID really close to a fight date, and it set me back. And that's why it's kind of been a little bit longer than usual. But now I'm feeling at 100%. We were going to try to beat it and still make that fight date. But coming off of that last fight, I didn't want to, half-tail it or not feel 100%. I want to make sure that when I come back top notch and give all my fans a show. I'm ready.
Jamal, you're training at the Circle of Discipline in Minneapolis near Dinkytown. Tell us about that, and also winter training as opposed to summer training. Are you running outside in the Arctic cold, or are you doing the stuff inside?
Man, we run outside through the snow, through the cold, through all that. If it's too cold, then we got to run inside at a track somewhere. I think this morning it was a little too cold early because we run early in the morning. It was like negative 12 or 15 or something. But otherwise, anything above 10 degrees, we're running outside,
And you go up north sometimes to kind of seclude yourself and train that way too, don't you?
Yep, we'll probably be doing that for the second half of our training here too. But now since we got our new facility open in the cities, it's a lot easier to get sparring in the city because when we're up north, guys we have to bring them in. They usually stay with us, but a lot of guys don't like staying up there. because it's, nothing to do. You know what I mean? It's total focus. It's just training and then resting, training and resting. Where in the city, you can get different type of work.
Jamal, is your training in stages? Is it incremental as you build up toward the boxing match in a few weeks at the Armory, or is it the same thing the entire time?
No, you build up to it, man. It's a science in the training of it. You want to really, kind of push it hard at a certain time, push your energy low, and then you start to ease off as you get closer to the fight to let that energy build back up and let everything get back to 100. You know what I mean? And that way, when you do get in the ring for the main fight, you'll be at your peak. Your energy will be top notch. Your cardio, everything will be top notch. You'll be ready to go. So we've been burning pretty hard right now. But forgive me if I look a little tired or something. I just got done training. But yeah, we've been getting at it.
You're doing just fine. The last fight, as I mentioned, been a year and a half ago. That was for the world welterweight title. You were trying to retain it. You lost that fight. What did you learn from that?
You know that you can't have an off night in this sport. Unfortunately, man, my tools wasn't working. I think we lost weight kind of wrong. The scale I had brought was off, so I lost a lot more weight than I needed to for the weigh-ins, and it kind of affected the fight because my energy was just way lower than it usually was. And those aren't any excuses, because it's 70% mental anyway, so I could still, push. But it definitely played a big role, I think, and I just learned that, you got to make sure everything is good. You got to make sure everything is working. You got to make sure your legs feel good. You got to be, you can't try to ignore something and think you can make it work.
Right.
You got to either adjust because you know it's not going to work, or you got to let people know, like, you know what, something's funny right here. I don't know if maybe we should wait until this is feeling better or that's feeling better.
Jamal, paint the picture of what it's like to be a hometown kid fighting in the Armory smack dab in downtown Minneapolis. That vibe, the electricity, it's become really a boxing hub, I think, in the Midwest. What's that like for you?
I mean, you feel like the king of the city when you're walking down to fight in your hometown and you get all that love, man. They really show out at the Armory. I mean, it's packed in there. Everybody's chanting your name. Like you said, it's your hometown. So, when you get done with the fight or even before the fight, people are just, really cheering you on and got your back and are very supportive. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a big blessing to be able to be one of the biggest names in the welterweight boxing division, but especially to be a name that was able to bring boxing back to Minnesota in such a big way. And like you said, to make it a hub again, you know what I mean?
I know this one is a little bit different for you because you now have a son, part of your life. Tell me a little bit about that and how that has affected you both as a boxer and as a person.
Definitely lit another fire under me. You know what I mean? I was blessed to have a beautiful little boy. Got married, got a house, and now the bills is coming in. So now it's time to get to work for real. Just having a son now, I think I'm one of those people who think so deep in the future, and I'm thinking of everything I want to be able to provide and give to him that I wasn't able to get. So I'm just trying to plan for that stuff. And since I'm still in my prime and still got a few good years on me, I want to milk this game for everything it's got. God willing, get a title back, get multiple titles, and and then be able to bow out gracefully and just spend my days hanging out with him.
Where is the sport of boxing right now, Jamal? We've heard a lot of people talk about its demise over the last couple of decades, but is it trending up again?
No, I ain't no demise in boxing. I think there's a transition now where they're looking for that big name. You know what I mean? Mayweather was the last kind of big name. Earl Spence has kind of been holding it down for at least for the welterweight division. You had the heavyweights. They was going back and forth at it. Gypsy King and Deontay Wilder and stuff, those names. But they're looking for somebody, I think, that can kind of hold that big name, but a newer person. Because Pacquiao, Pacquiao's still taking some fights, but, no disrespect to him. He's kind of, older, and he's kind of, I think, getting ready to bow out pretty soon. So I think it's just in a transition period. And, now it's time for me to let them know that I'm that name.
Okay. And that leads me to my next question, actually. You were what? Are you 34 right now?
34.
34. Okay.
How did I look though?
28.
Yeah. You're not. You don't look a day over 28.
There you go. Feeling good.
So how much longer do you think you can fight? I mean, realistically.
Now, we got a few good years, man. I don't want to push it. I kind of listen to my body. I listen to my corner. I still feel very good. My speed is still on point. My reflexes are still on point. Power is still good. But what I listen to is how quickly I'm able to heal from little tiny injuries that you get during training or something. Because, as you get older, you notice that injuries start to linger longer than they usually did when you was a little younger. Or you just get goofy injuries and you're like, how the hell did that happen? You wake up and roll out of bed. And all of a sudden your neck is hurting all day. And you're like, what is this? Did I really get that from the pillow? What's going on here? So, stuff like that you start to listen to. So I think, I'm just looking out for that type of stuff. And I think if it's starting to get too much, then that's kind of my body telling me, like, all right, you keep pushing this boxing if you want, but, the signs are showing and you don't want to keep pushing it and get caught in a bad position where you in a fight and all of a sudden it all comes out.
Boxing is your craft. I mean, that's how you put the food on the table for your young one. What do you think when somebody like Adrian Peterson gets in the ring with Le'Veon Bell and it's purely a gimmick fight? Do you endorse that?
I can't say, I'm not going to say that they shouldn't be, if they got to make a couple bucks for their family, I'm not going to sit there and be like, what the heck are you doing? Hey, man, if you want to fight, go ahead and fight,
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us. One last little tidbit. What do you plan to do once you're done boxing? Have you thought about that? Besides sitting next to me and call fights on television.
Oh man, that was my whole plan right there.
I gave it away, huh?
No, just be very smart with investments, man. I have plans to, get some retail investments and property investments. God willing, everything goes good these next couple of years. My wife has her own business that's really booming right now. She's a mental health therapist. She has a business called Reviving Roots Therapy and Wellness, which is kind of like a membership-based type of deal. And it's more holistic type healing. But she can do her thing. God willing, I do my thing these next couple of years with boxing and make the proper investments and the right investments. And I could just collect a check, hang out with my son, and maybe have a couple other kids by then too, and let her do all the work. relax at home, That's the plan. I want to get into coaching. I'll always be down at the circle, you know what I mean? That's what my real passion is working with the community, working with them kids down there.
Yeah.
So as I get done with my pro career, then I can focus more on mentoring, more on coaching younger guys, taking them to national tournaments and stuff like that.
Well, Jamal, good for you. It's been fun talking to you again. We're looking forward to the February 25th bout down at the Armory, and I know you are, and we will see you then.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys. Take it easy.
Thanks. Take care.
All right. He is Jamal James, the former world welterweight champion, joining us here on 10,000 Takes. More to come after this timeout. Stay with us.
Taxes don't have to be taxing, not with Keller Tax Service. For over 20 years, Linda Keller has prepared taxes for all types of professions and businesses. She has perfected the virtual tax appointment through phone or video. With Keller Tax Service, you never leave home. Call Keller Tax Service at 320-352-0013 or check out Keller Tax Service online at kellertaxservice.com. Take the anxiety out of taxes with Keller Tax Service at kellertaxservice.com.
10,000 Takes rolls along, and I think it's fair to say that the Minnesota Timberwolves have been playing better basketball, even without Karl Anthony Towns, still waiting for his return, probably after the All-Star break, hopefully after the All-Star break at least. But part of the success that they have had, especially this past Sunday, when the Denver Nuggets were in town, and we only got, partial Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets left 4 starters at home. And it brings us to this discussion I wanted to have about what the Denver Nuggets are doing along with a lot of the other NBA teams. This load management baloney where they had 4 guys, including Nikola Jokic, him not playing. MVP, 2-time MVP, does not play. He doesn't even come to Minneapolis along with Lamont Murray and 2 others. So they had 4 starters they left back in Denver. Now, if I'm a guy who buys tickets because I wanted to see the 2-time MVP, and he's not playing, and they're not even sending 3 other starters along with that, they didn't even come to Minneapolis. They just stayed in Denver because they're just too tired. They played Saturday night.
Yeah, they were good enough to play in that game. In fact, Murray dropped 41 on the Atlanta Hawks in that game in Denver, and then, like you said, he wasn't on the flight to Minneapolis the next night. Load management is a load of fertilizer, in my opinion. I can't stand it either. And, we always use that phrase back in the day, but in this case, it's relevant. And not too far back in the day, guys like Michael Jordan felt it was their obligation to show up and perform on the road because Michael knew, Kobe knew, guys like that. People were coming to see them.
Of course.
They were the draw. They were the magnet that tugged folks into the arena. And, the Bulls only come here once a year. When Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls played the Minnesota Timberwolves, and in most of those years the T-Wolves weren't very good.
No.
People circled that date on the calendar.
Of course.
And you have a lot of Chicago transplants in the Twin Cities. It was a huge deal, and I agree with you. And so the Nuggets only make 2 appearances in Minneapolis. They're done unless these teams meet in the playoffs. So we saw the Joker once. Last year I went to a game specifically to see Giannis.
The only time they're in town.
Milwaukee, and he was in street clothes. I watched a game recently on ABC, a Saturday night telecast. Dallas at Golden State. Oh, goody. Luka, Steph. Luka, load management. They said it was a heel or something. And Steph injured his knee in the 3rd quarter, and he didn't return. So that took the air out of that balloon.
And here's the problem that the NBA has, in my opinion. They have, for years, probably since the Michael and Magic and Larry Bird era, been promoting individual players, and it's worked for them. They've been promoting their stars. Come see Michael Jordan. Come see LeBron James. Come see Steph Curry. Come see Larry Bird. Come see Giannis. That's what they've been doing. That's been their MO, and it has worked. However, if you use that, you are now false advertising because people buy tickets, and they don't necessarily buy them the day of, and when they find out that these guys aren't going to play, they might buy them weeks ahead of time because they want to see LeBron James. They want to see Michael Jordan or whoever.
And most teams, when they market a schedule and they try to sell tickets at the beginning of the year, they'll come out with these packages, a 10-game plan, a 20-game plan. Included in your 10-game plan might be Boston, which would mean Jason Tatum, right?
Right.
Milwaukee, Giannis, Denver, the Joker, Milwaukee has other stars, but I'm talking about they would do this intentionally to get people to buy in thinking you're going to see guys like Giannis play. You're going to see Steph Curry when Golden State comes in. And it doesn't always happen. It is false advertising, but on the ticket, now it's on your phone, right? It's digital. It still says Denver Nuggets at Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah. It doesn't say Jokic versus Rudy.
Yeah. NBA doesn't care.
No, they don't. They're cashing checks.
As long as they're cashing your checks. All right. More to come. Takes of the day right after this. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. try these.
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K Takes Television, another episode almost in the books. We'll have takes of the day coming up shortly. The Minnesota Wild had a lot of time off for that NHL All-Star break. Returned to the ice earlier this week, and wow, they've got quite the homestand coming up. It's almost like a Major League Baseball homestand, isn't it?
They are home 7 games over 12 days. They are home until the 21st of February before they hit the road again, and they need to make some hay. I mean, they are barely on the cusp of the playoffs. One day they're in, the next day they're not. So they need to win hockey games. This is it. This is the stretch run, and for the Wild, really, the playoffs begin now.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do, because if they want to be a postseason team this year, they're going to have to, as I said, win some of these home games, because then in early March, with all the state tournaments and everything at the XL Energy Center,
kicked out.
They're out of the building, so they'll be on the road for a while.
And I've said for a long time, the NHL and NBA seasons are grueling. They're marathons. They're too long, really.
Yeah.
And I don't really start taking things seriously, though, until after the Super Bowl. Well, it's that time now. The NFL will go to bed for about a week, then they'll start hyping up the combine. But my point is, hockey and basketball and crunch time for playoff positioning and all that will ramp up for the 2 local teams here in Minnesota.
Yeah. All right, I think we should do takes, and I'm going to go, I'm not talking hockey, I'm not talking basketball, I'm going to talk some baseball.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. We're going to find out, are you a grumpy Guardian, angry American? Maybe. He's Captain Sunshine.
Well, don't count on that. So 15 years ago, this is the 15th year anniversary of the day or the month that the Minnesota Twins traded away the best pitcher in team history. You can make the argument that Johan Santana, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, was literally given away to the New York Mets for Carlos "Go-Go" Gomez, who was here for a couple of years, and he was okay.
They groomed him so he could succeed in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he was really good in Milwaukee. He was okay here. Yeah. And then 3 stiffs that never made hay doing anything for the Minnesota Twins, or for anybody else for that matter. What the Mets got was a high-price pitcher, Cy Young Award winner, who pitched 3 really good years for the Mets. Now, he got hurt. He pitched in 2008, 2009 were really good. Then 2010, at the end of the season, he got hurt. But those 3 years, man, his ERA was hovering below 3 all 3 years. And then he got hurt, missed 2011, then came back in 2012 and pitched again and threw the only solo no-hitter in New York Mets history.
How about that?
Yeah. So, please, Minnesota Twins front office, let's not do this again. No repeat performances. Hang on when you got a really good player, particularly a pitcher of the caliber of Johan Santana.
And the mood meter says, grumpy Guardian.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's fitting. Johan was a stud.
Yeah, he was.
All right, well, my take of the day, since we're closing in on Super Bowl 57, USA Today recently came out with a list of the 16 teams in NFL history who had the greatest regular seasons but didn't make the Super Bowl. All right, I won't give you all 16.
Thank you.
The not-so-sweet 16. But I'm going to give you a few. Number 9 on that list, Minnesota Vikings.
Of course.
1975, Purple Pain personified, Roger Staubach, Drew Pearson, the shove on Nate Wright, the Hail Mary at the Met, the whiskey bottle hitting the referee, all that. That's number 9. All right, number 3 would be San Francisco of 92. Number 2, the 1976 Pittsburgh Steelers. And number 1, the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. Get out your purple foam finger. They're number 1 in something.
Oh, boy. Thanks for that.
On that note, we got to go. Let's FedEx out those thank yous. One to Alex Yambrick, David Weld, also to Jamal James and Rocky. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.